Prophet of thought. The prophet of thought.
What's up, folks, and welcome back to another episode of the Popular Thought Series right here on the old T.L.O.T YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, and you know this is the night of the week that I'm always waiting for. Tonight, Unicorn 4, T.L.O.T, will be in the house. But y'all already know that, so I don't know why I'm telling y'all. I guess I just like saying it. But yeah, what's good, everybody? What's going on? Lady Cats, Brother Laquan, Sheep Stay Sleep TV. What's good, brother? What's good? What's good? What's good? Yeah, tonight, y'all. Oh, I see Lady Ming in the house already. Always the first to arrive.
Hello.
What's good, Lady Ming? Always
I'm
on
good.
time.
How are you?
I'm good.
I know.
Just
Even with my
always on
friends,
time.
they say that I'm always on time or the first to arrive.
Yeah, well, you know, my
know.
black ass always late, so I don't even know what that is, you know, to be on time. I have no idea what that is. Yeah, tonight, y'all, we're going to be talking a little bit of woman up, because I know y'all have heard these two words before. You need to man up, man up, man up. So tonight, we will be reversing it. Tonight, the theme will be woman up, and I can't think of a better group of ladies to promulgate this message than the four unicorns. So while we waiting for the rest of the unicorns to assemble, let me go ahead and thank y'all for the donations, because I got a few donations yesterday. So thank you very much for that. Y'all know who y'all are if y'all listening, because you know I always hit you up with a little personal email, and I just want you to know I appreciate you very, very much, and everything that you contribute to this channel, I make sure goes back into this channel. Trust that. Even if it means combining some of my money with it, whatever I need for this channel, whether it be programs, sound cards, software, microphones, earphones, headphones, whatever, I always make sure I put it into the channel. You guys pretty soon, because y'all are familiar with Teacher Tanisha. You know, Teacher's been the right hand of TPOT for quite some time. Teacher's going to be moving down to North Carolina soon, probably within the next few months. So when we do these shows, not only you're going to see my ugly face, you're also going to see Teach sitting next to me too. So I've invested in a mix board so I can have two mics. She'll have a mic, I'll have a mic. So I'm kind of getting it set up for whenever Teach move down here, which will probably be, I don't know, in the next 3 months or so. So y'all don't have to look at my ugly face all the time. Y'all see somebody else too. So be prepared for that. What else? I hope y'all been checking out my boy's new channel, Valdez. What's up, BJ Allen D? What's good, brother? The Angry Church, y'all gotta check it out. It's I've been trying to catch it live, but it come on late, and y'all know my ass is old. So, I usually have to catch it on the replay, but it's epic, man. I mean, I don't know how the hell Valdez and Brother Jap are doing that shit, making it look like both of them is on the screen at the same time. I don't know how they doing it, but Brother Valdez, he's savvy as hell with the graphics and shit. So, you know how it is, but it looks good. Y'all got to check it out, man. Y'all gotta check it out. It's nice. And I was their first subscriber too, so I beat all of y'all to the punch. You know what I mean? But yeah. So, like I said tonight, the theme will be Woman Up. I see Lady Classic down there. What's good, Lady Classic? There go Lady Cats. What's good, Lady Cats?
How you doing?
I'm good. Well, I had wrote you ladies because I'm going to be doing some new stuff. I'm trying out some new programs, trying out some new theme music, doing some experimenting. So, I was wondering if y'all ladies wanted to like maybe have another picture or something like that for the promos, because I got a new commercial that I'm going to be using for y'all. I'm going to switch it around a little bit of the old and a little bit of the new, and a little bit of stuff that people haven't seen before. So I was just wondering if y'all wanted to put another picture in the promo, or let me know. Whatever y'all want to do, whatever you give me, I'll work with it. If you say the pictures that I already got is fine, I'll work with those. Just let me know. If you don't, send me something. Y'all have my email. Just send something down the pipe, and I'll make it work.
Okay, because I might want to change it.
Yeah, I mean, just send me something, because the stuff is already in the works. But you send me the photo, I can easily just, insert it, because nothing's written in stone yet. I'm just kind of juggling some ideas. So,
Okay.
Try to get me those photos as soon as possible, because the sooner y'all get me the new photos that you want me to use, I can go ahead and integrate them into the promotional material. So,
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Lady Kendra isn't here yet. I guess we can go ahead and start. Let's get right to it, shall we? Like I said in the beginning, we often hear, us black men, we often hear the phrase "man up," and I know what I interpret that to be. So when someone says "woman up" to a woman, or you hear "woman up," what do you ladies think that means to you as women?
To be honest, I haven't heard that before. Woman up. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say like in my experience, uh men like the fewer words the better. So I think when you say man up, that says a whole bunch of different things to them all at once. Whereas for women, I think we are more likely to address specific things at specific times. And if we are going to use the term, though, just to kind of tell you, like, suck it up or, whatever, we'll usually use, like, either man up or, grow a pair or something, even though obviously it's gender incorrect. So.
Mm.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't been told to woman up, and I don't ever recall ever mentioning that to someone. It's usually just the man up, which is kind of go both ways a little bit. But the way I always meant it when I've said it, and is like, get it together. You know, suck it up, suck it in, stand up straight, do what it is you got to do, figure it out. So, what's the solution? What's the strategy? And so, what do you think they're going to do after you thought about that stuff? Like, that's how I've meant it. So, if you were to say it to me, I would take it the same way.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me give you my interpretation of it. When I tell, because I actually did a video a while back, um, called "Woman Up," and what I spoke about when I spoke about women womaning up, I was referring to women. Well, I was talking about quite a few things, but mostly what I was talking about was how certain women, a certain group of women, need to start doing the things that, in my eyes, women should be doing. And when I said that, I meant it in the terms of, you know, how to treat a man, how to make sure that your children had a decent father, um, make sure that you carried yourself as a woman, whatever you think that may mean to you, and understand that you are a woman as opposed to trying to take on manly things. Because often you hear, I know when I was growing up, I often heard women say that they were the mother and the father, and that always threw me for a loop because I never quite understood why they were saying that, because I think that that's like totally impossible. No matter how masculine a woman may try to be, there's no way she can be the mother and the father. So she probably should be focusing more on just being the mother. Um, I think that that's a big problem with children, because I guess in a sense they're trying to be the father instead of just, they're splitting themselves in half by trying to be the mother and the father, and just being, instead of just being a whole mother. I think that that's a big problem. Um, so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because I do think that it's slightly different again, here on some level. So when I'm addressing this, I'm not addressing obviously the problem women, who are welfare moms, trying to be welfare moms, like that was their goal in life, et cetera, et cetera. I don't need no man kind of women. So when I hear women who are single, not necessarily by choice, or single parents, not necessarily by choice, normally definitely not by choice, because the guy, he didn't want the responsibility anymore. He got a new wife, and with that, dropped the old kids, et cetera, et cetera. When I hear them talking about in terms of being the mother and the father, they always talk about the lacking, because they can't. There are obviously aspects to being a man that there's nothing that they don't know how to teach you how to be a man. So normally what they're talking about is the roles. I have to bring him to buy his first razor, or I have to just fill the spot that if he had two parents, the father would be doing these things. And it's not necessarily about the masculinity. It's just literally about the 50% of parenting. And I do agree with you, though. At the end of the day, the connotation of saying I have to be the mother and the father, I think is just, it's really misleading. And I don't think it's what they mean to say. I think what they mean to say is raising a child alone is incredibly difficult, and I need a father figure for my kids. I think that's really what they mean to say, but they just use this improper phrasing instead.
I believe, I believe that, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and I've said this before. when you, especially when you talk about well, I don't even like to call them single mothers. I like to call them unwed mothers because they're not single. It's them and their damn kids, so they're not single. Okay, if it was single, it's just them. It's them and their children. So they're unwed mothers, is what they are. And with unwed mothers, I think that you can probably apply the woman up phrase to them. You can apply it to them more than you can apply with most women. Now we're going to get to other women too, but to them you can apply it heavily because a lot of them, quite frankly, are screwing up. um I've seen unwed mothers who, they're walking around in red bottom shoes, we've always done. They're at the bar looking like Queen Nefertiti, but the kids' shoes is holy. They wearing Haggerty clothes. They don't got a haircut. I mean, that's not them womaning up. If you going out to the bar
Mm-hmm.
looking like Queen Nefertiti and your kids look like little Ethiopians, something's wrong. And you
Dang.
definitely need the woman the hell up in that aspect. You need the woman up. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's usually the woman who also is living at home with their grandmother, not even their mother, usually at their grandmother's house or something like that. And who's also not really working, you know, getting government assistance and things like that. I hate to say it, but it's true. Because when people actually out here paying their own bills, they learn the value of a dollar and they choose to spend it a little bit differently, you know. So it's
Exactly.
easy to almost like it's easy to stereotype. You hate to say it, but it's easy to do. Those are the markings of a person who's in this world asshole backwards.
Haven't heard that in a
Hmm.
while. Haven't heard that term in a while. We've been joined by Lady Kendra. What's good, Lady Kendra?
Hey, Kendra.
Hey.
Hello. I'm
Hey,
so
love.
sorry I'm late. Chrome was doing its thing. So I'm here to woman up.
Oh, aha! Did you hear the conversation at all? Did you hear any of it?
I didn't hear anything. I'm sorry. I don't know what the last question was.
Well, I was asking the other unicorns. I was talking about the women who go out to the club, with the red bottoms and the weave done and the brand new dress, looking like Queen Nefertiti, but the kids got on their feet hanging out their sneakers and their heads ain't cut and they wearing Haggerty
Mm,
clothes. So I said those are definitely an example of women who need to woman up. And I asked the unicorns if they agree, and I'm sure you do too.
of course, not only do these women need to woman up because they know that what they're doing is wrong. There's no way that you can bring a whole human being into this world and not realize that you need to take care of it.
Hmm.
But yet you see the need to take care of yourself. You see the need to get your weave done, hair did, nail did, everything did. But these are the same females. If you look at their Facebook page or you look at, the pictures that they post, um, the background in their house is either empty or in squalor or both. The children, there's never any furniture. They twerk, their kitchen dirty, the bedroom dirty. They in the living
Damn
room, but it
mirror.
ain't no couches. That kind of thing. And that is deeper than, oh, I'm just doing me. No, these are usually the kind of women, not all of them, but these are usually the kind of women that abuse their children as well. Verbally, emotionally abuse them. They're emotionally unavailable to them. So the children are raising themselves and they think that if they get on aid or they just having a roof over their head technically is raising children. Maintenance of children and raising children are two different things. And these so-called women never seem to get that point.
Very true.
Why do you ladies think that is? I mean, what let's just stick there for a little while with these women. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that these women, and there's a lot of them, it would be different if it was just a small little tiny, fraction of them doing this, but we know better than that, right? We know better than that. We know it's quite a few of them, more than it should be, way more than it should be. So why do you think these ladies do this? Why do these women do this? Why won't they woman up and do what they need to do for these children? I mean, if even if the you don't know who their fathers are, fine. We'll talk about that later. You don't know who any of their fathers are, and they're gone or whatever. But now the kids are here. So why aren't these women doing the woman up thing as far as these children are concerned?
Man, they
Oh,
don't
that's a
care
great
about
one.
them. They don't care about them. They're birthing out little checks. They're not birthing out children that they wanted to be a mother, and they want to care about them, and they want to, raise these wonderful children and all the love in their hearts. Because if love was the motivator for even birthing a child in the first place, they would have attempted to make a stable home for the child to be in, but they didn't. They
Yeah,
don't.
I agree. I agree with that because you can tell a woman or a mother who loves their children and one who doesn't. It's obvious in the way they talk to them, treat them, hug them, don't hug them. It's like you have the women who had babies because they wanted to keep a man or they wanted to keep a check, and then you have the ones who had kids because they either wanted a baby to fill some void in their heart or to keep a man or check or a combination of them all or whatever the case may be, but there's still some love there. And usually, and sometimes, and then it was like if you unpack it a little further, especially if the two girls come from the same neighborhood and the same environment and socioeconomic status or whatever, well, why does she love hers and she doesn't love hers? Then we have to go back and look at the mothers. What did they mother love them? Who's teaching who? But then you have the kid who the mother didn't love them, but they vowed to never treat their children that way. And then you have the one who doesn't love them because their mother didn't love them. Or and then they do love them, but they don't have to do shit for them because they came from a lousy ass woman, and everybody's putting them on the pedestal because they're probably the only one with a high school diploma. Let's be real. We talked about the literacy rate in the neighborhoods and urban cities and stuff like that, the other conversation. So you're doing better than what your mom's doing, but she wasn't doing shit. So the bar is so low. It's like you hood rich and hood famous. You know, a lot of that is that too. They are caring for him the best way they know how. Yeah, she got on red bottoms and a skin tight dress, but I don't know if y'all heard of the store Rainbow and paint. Motherfuckers buying this cheap ass shit, walking around here with this fake ass shit at the same time too. She really ain't got shit either.
Mm.
Dirty panties. It's like this conversation could just go so damn deep because there's so many reasons
Girl,
why.
you did
Mhm.
not say dirty panties, girl. They
Yeah.
them panties to your
Oh.
wreck, girl.
I'm
You
just
know it
saying.
smell like a fishmonger mixed with some Frito. Oh
Oh,
God,
because we
I
know
don't even
them
know how they
girls.
getting pregnant, girl. Who is
Exactly.
brave enough to go through
Exactly.
the valley of the shadow of death to
Somebody
get
with
in
dirty
between them
drawers.
legs, girl?
Somebody with
Well,
dirty
well,
drawers.
well. Us brothers. We have a tendency. We will climb. I can't say this enough. We will climb on top of anyone. We will climb on top
Dang.
of anyone. That's us.
Mm-hmm.
That's our bad. Because we have very low standards as black men. We have the lowest standards of any man. So we'll climb on anybody. We don't. We'll put a clothespin on our nose. We don't care. We'll put
Exactly. And then you
some
add
cotton in our
add
nose.
that into the puzzle of why she don't care about her kids, because he don't care about the damn kid. He ain't
Mm,
got no standards. He ain't got bringing shit to the table. His draw's dirty too, so he's not even requiring more of you. Because you made a good point before. Sometimes the men are in the household, and it keeps the mother on point.
mm-hmm.
And that's true. So if he's not even there, and he ain't on point, she ain't on point, all of them just dirty as hell. What do we expect? I mean, it really boils, and then in intelligence, emotional maturity, children having children, but never taking the experience and actually making something of it and growing up or whatever, womaning up, if you will. And then it just becomes a vicious ass illiterate cycle.
Mm.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to ramble, but it's so much. It's so many reasons, you know? It's like you could draw a fucking chart or something.
Do
Oh,
not
and I
A
don't.
flow
apologize.
chart.
Do not apologize for dropping the jewels on the folks. Do not apologize.
I was gonna say, I don't think you were rambling at all. I think that, which is what you just said there. It's such, there's no, it's not a simple one word answer. It's just one thing. If we just do this one thing or tell them one thing across the board, it'll change everything. It's not. You have a bunch of children raising children and these children who are having children, and birthing children weren't raised either, obviously, which is why they're children who start at 13, 14, 15, having a child every other year, because that's what their mom and their grandma and their auntie and their whatever are all doing. And for you to be walking around with that kind of stench. I had a friend, and her daughter, so she had her daughter, she got pregnant at 14, she had her daughter at 15. And I mean, she's all kinds of irresponsible, don't get me wrong. But at the very least, she did try to make an effort. And so I remember when her daughter started hitting puberty and whatever. So showering, you could really smell a difference if a kid showers or not when they're in that clean kind of phase. And her daughter would come in the shower and she'd be like, "Wait, come here. I can still smell you. Go bathe your dirty ass. Why didn't you go? What's wrong with you? You stood. I heard the shower running for 20 minutes. How did you come out smelling dirty still?" Right? I remember she'd walk inside that shower and be like, "Show me what you're doing, because I don't understand this. How do you keep coming out of the shower and you still smell nasty? Why aren't you cleaning yourself properly?" So from that perspective now, and I think about the fact that, again, I said this girl is all kinds of irresponsible on so many levels. But if you are walking around and you stank to the point where other people know you stank, because there's probably something wrong. Either you're not cleaning it, you have BV, you have yeast infection, some combination of both, plus you don't clean yourself properly, plus God knows whatever else. And nobody, your mom, nobody ever told you how to clean yourself properly. No one ever notices you're walking around in those tight ass pants so everyone can smell it, and no one cares enough to say something to you and go tell you something about yourself and go drag you to a doctor's office. That tells me in and of itself there's a problem. There's a lack of broad-upsy, because it's a vicious cycle that is ongoing in the community, whereby people who, for all the reasons that Kendra and Ming have outlined, for these people who are not and should not be having children for all the wrong reasons, giving birth to these children for all the wrong reasons, pinning all kinds of hopes and dreams on the birth of that child that have nothing to do with the child in and of itself, and wanting to give the child a better life than they had, or wanting to give that child love, or wanting to give that child support. That child is supposed to support them in some way or another from birth. You see this all the time, and so many horrific videos with these mothers. "Oh, the guy left me. Now he won't come at least get his kid. Okay, well, I'm going to beat the kid and put him at the garbage." Because you know what? That's how much your 8-month-old doesn't matter to you. Because it's not really a person. It's a thing to you. You know why? Because you're a child. And like children who take their cell phones and smash them on the sidewalk because they're so angry, they don't care. And then, 24 hours later, they're upset a little bit about the phone, but they'll laugh at it because it's silly. That's how they see children, because they're children birthing children. So of course these children, when I say child, it's not necessarily your chronological age, because you can grow up at any point. I'm saying their mental age. They don't grow up. Their priorities don't grow up. Their focus doesn't grow up. So as a result, you have these children birthing children, and those children are being raised by children still who are 34-year-old children, with their 15-year-old children having now new babies. And again, it's this cycle, and it just keeps going downhill and downhill and downhill. And unfortunately, there are so few teen moms, young moms, whatever, that end up being, and I do use the term single parent, because you can be an unwed, and still be in a relationship with the significant other and whatever. So there are so many of them, though, at the end of the day now, that are not, unfortunately, they are not being those ones that are saying, "I want to give you something better. Man, my life sucked. Man, I wouldn't have had this kid and thrown away my whole life at 14 if I had someone. Let me do better for you." Right? That's what my mother did for me. Uh, and I wish that I can say that even here in Canada that is a typical story. I am going to take you out of where I was raised now, where I was born now, and give you something better. It's not typical, unfortunately.
Wow. Yeah, well, me being a man, coming up, because I'm in my 40s. And as a young guy, I sold my oats. I saw a lot of women naked in my lifetime. And you would run into those women who were, they had on panties that said Wednesday and it was Saturday. So you're thinking either she's had them on since Wednesday or she's not going to change them until Wednesday. So,
Mm-mm.
you run into that stuff. And it's quite awkward when you run into these women, and they have these smells emanating from them, and and it's not necessarily, you would think it was just young women who were inexperienced with they're inexperienced with cleaning themselves, but it's not. I mean, because I ran into women who were in their 20s and 30s who had this problem. So, being that you ladies know about this stuff way more than I do, what would you tell? What would you tell the 30-year-old woman who has on the panties that says Wednesday, but it's Saturday? What would you tell these women who have these scents emanating from their crevices? Please share.
To be honest,
So
I wouldn't know what to tell them because you'd get cussed out. Real talk. I remember, like Ruby was just talking about her friend's daughter. I have a cousin who's about 16 years old, and when she was younger, she for some reason she wanted to be Miss Diva but never wanted to take a shower. So she would want to play with makeup and do her hair and wear all these different clothes but never wanted to take a shower for some reason. And anytime you would try to get her to take a shower, she'd curse you out or yell at you or whatever. And it got so bad to the point so where one time she called her mom up crying, saying they don't understand. They're so ignorant. And I don't understand why they don't won't just let me be me and stuff. So it's like unless these young ladies grow up where their parents are staying on them constantly about cleanliness and hygiene, they don't know, they don't want to know, they don't care to know, and if you try to educate them on it, they'll probably get mad at you.
Next up.
Well, like I know for me, because it is something that I have and do and will address. So I know for me, I would never publicly like shame her or something like that. If obviously if I know her, it's gonna be one thing versus if I don't know you, I'm just sitting next to you on the bus or something like that. I'm not gonna tell you. But if I know you, I'll normally approach the subject by like kind of pulling you aside or on a phone or something like that and being like, listen, like, and I'll lie and I will, and I'll make up a person, a person that they dealt with or whatever, but I don't want to say the name, but this is what they told me about, your smell. Honestly, like I thought they were bullshitting, but then we were sitting there the other day and I kind of noticed it faintly too. And then educate. And I did the same thing. We were talking on Discord, and I did the same thing. And I told Jay Shine, I can't remember who else was there, about BV and yeast infections. Yeast infections smell very cheesy, right? Bacterial vaginosis or BV smells very fishy. You can actually have both at the same time. So if someone smells cheesy and fishy, they have a combination yeast infection and bacterial infection, right? It's not a hard thing to treat. It's not sexually transmitted. It can happen to anyone based on so many different little factors, including how much sugar you're eating, for example, were you taking a lot of antibiotics this year? It's not even something to be ashamed of having these infections. I mean, you can buy Monistat over the counter, And I'll sit there and I will talk to them. And you know what? I might get some initial anger. Um, and I'll sit there and I'll gauge the situation because it's something that's happened a few times. And I'll gauge the situation and I'll tell like fake stories that don't really, just to try to make them feel better. Like, I remember this happened to me or something like that, right? And they'll be like, "What do you mean?" Right? And then like I'll tell them some story that sounds similar to the story that I told them about themselves, right? To try to get them to listen and to try to understand and whatever. And a lot of people, what you find out is the school system did not properly educate them regarding they know all about syphilis and herpes, and they know nothing about regular female health and hygiene, and their families didn't do it either. So as a result, they were walking around having no idea about some things and the practices uh, that were put into place for them when they were small children, which some cases were like, "Oh, you don't need to take a bath every day. You don't smell, okay, fine, go to school," like that kind of stuff. Or, turn your panties inside out because, I forgot to do laundry. These are things that people really were telling me. And since that was their experience, that's why it is that they were still practicing these things post puberty. So, it's just a matter of just talking to them. And, you got to find a way of, if you care about them, if you really care about this woman, she matters to you, then you got to find a way of approaching the topic and getting her to hear you. Because otherwise, she's walking around shaming herself and you by association if you speak to her or are, family or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yuck.
Um, an adult, I once told an adult that their breath stink. I've never had to tell nobody their body stink, even though I've known a few people, but they weren't the people you would tell that to. They just would not take it the right way. It'll be a big old argument. But the person whose breath stank, I did pull them to the side and I told them it smelled like they had a bad tooth. So, and I mean, it did. It really did. Like they had a rotten tooth in their mouth that they've been covering up with gum, and it hurts. But you really need to go to the dentist because their breath smell like shit. I don't know if you've ever smelled somebody with a bad tooth, but that's a horrible smell. Um, so I did tell them about it, and I like to think I would be just as upfront, but it's hard because I do know someone who has BO to tell certain women because you have your know-it-alls and people who just can't take information. They can't take you telling them something to tarnish them or what they perceive as a tarnishing and not constructive criticism when that's what you're trying to do. Now, this person too, you have a lot of women that run around here to think they know everything about the vagina and they really don't. They're the dushers. They're the summer's eve girls, stuff like that. They're the people who put powder in their panties and things like that. They have absolutely no idea about how to take care of themselves, which you could trace back to their mother. Growing up, I had this girl tell me that in the neighborhood, we had to be like 13, and she told me that she put deodorant on her vagina. And I said, "What the hell, what you doing that for?" Her mother does that. Now, her mother was a drug addict and a prostitute. So this woman had taught her daughter to put deodorant in her vagina. Now, I can only imagine that she's in her late 30s, early 40s doing the same thing because that's how ingrained it was in her head even then. She was proud of it. She was telling us a secret about how to keep our stuff smelling good. Deodorant.
Mm.
So you get it from your mother, what you see her do or what she teaches you to do, if anything. Like with my daughter, when she was in her early teens, girls go through a real nasty period. They're some of the nastiest people on earth, teenage girls. And she wouldn't want to take a shower. And I told her, the next time I have to tell you to take a shower, I will be getting in the shower with you and washing you myself from head to toe. And we never had that issue again because she know I will actually do it. But I told her, your friends or people you think are your friends, they're not going to tell you stink. They're going to tell everybody else you stink. And that's not something you can come back from. There's no many times that you wash your ass that you're going to wash away the reputation of being somebody that has body odor. It just doesn't go away that easily. And we didn't have that issue again. But it's something that has to actually be taught. People take for granted, like with motherhood, that it's just going to come to you, when the truth of the matter, it doesn't. You have so many products being pushed People think that it has to be the truth. They want the FDA and the FCC and all the other alphabets to tell them what they're supposed to do and should do with their body. When the truth of the matter is that the vagina is self cleans.
Mm.
So you really don't need all of this, vinegar water and all of this other mess that you're putting up there. And another thing too is that if you keep getting these bacteria, vaginosis and stuff like that, and have unprotected sex will do that,
Mm.
especially if a man is not keeping the tip of his penis clean and he's
Mm.
putting it in your vagina, that could kick off BV. So not only do you have to be clean, you have to also bring your standards up to a level that you require those around you to be clean as well. That's also a
Mm-hmm.
problem
Mm-hmm.
that they don't address. Letting Dirty Dick Rodney and everybody else come and have sex with you with or without a condom is still fucking nasty. Or going to his house and he hasn't changed his sheets and you smelling the next bitch, but you don't want to say nothing, so you go and lay down. No. All of this is about self-esteem, esteem of self, and requirements.
Woman up. Woman up. God damn it. Woman up.
That's for real. That's the bottom line. Period.
I've never had to actually tell somebody that I know personally that, they body stink or, like, girl, woo. I've never had to do that because the people around me don't stink. But, it's like Mean was saying, it starts at home, with what their mothers, and this is why you don't want idiots raising children because she doesn't keep her body clean. So she's not going to teach her young daughter to be clean. When we get into our puberty and stuff like that, your hormones are kicking off. You musty anyway as a little kid. Okay, let's just get that straight. Your hormones are raging, they just not kicking up. You musty as a little kid. So you have to be taught how to get in the shower and wash thoroughly. A mother got to teach her daughter, wipe for the love of God, wipe from front to back. Please wipe from front to back. Do not go from back to front. It is
Mm-hmm.
unsanitary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they have to be taught how to get washing there real good, and all of that kind of stuff. Change your underwear every day because you're showering every day. You know, put your deodorant under your arms, not anywhere else. Um, Panty liners is a good investment, because the vagina does what it does. It self cleans and it's got to come out. So, you've got women around here running around with just a discharge, and that can stink. And as long as and I'm not talking about disease stink where it's just got this really pungent foul odor because you're getting deep into it, but your discharge shouldn't smell like that. But it does have a smell. So, you want to keep that clean by washing it. Good old hot water and soap does a miracle on your body. Just please, hot water and soap will really get you clean. I promise you it will if you get in the shower every day, and just change your underwear all the time, daily, change your underwear. Buy enough underwear so you can change it once every day. Just buy enough of them. I don't understand flipping them, to the other side. That's just so gross. I never had to just tell anybody, but I remember being in high school and, you got gym. And so you have swim class and all that kind of stuff. And girls would, you got to take your underwear off to put your swimsuit on. And then you mess around and let that fall to the floor. And I would be disgusted.
Mm.
Like, this is what your underwear look like? And you like 15? Ew. And it was just it was unconscionable to me because my mother, she did a lot of things wrong. But one thing she did right was teach me how to clean myself as a woman. She's like, okay, you're gonna have your period. You want to keep that together. You don't want to be that can smell. You want to keep that, under some kind of wrap. just wash yourself all the time, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And I figured out that you should shave because when you're young and you first get hair everywhere, you think you're grown. But the reality is, I cut that shit off. Um, and so, like I said, I never had to just tell anybody to their face that, they smell. But if you're past the age of like 7, shouldn't nobody have to tell you that. And if somebody do have to tell you that, your mother failed you, sweetheart. She just failed you. Because if you're 20 something, 30 something, and some man, you got to pull your panties down and he got to be low key disgusted because you did that, and now the room is lit up but it stank, and he trying to play it off like it's romantic by putting you in the shower. Mm-mm. You done messed up, baby. He's not being romantic. He's trying to tell you something. He's trying to tell you wash your ass. What he trying to tell you?
Well, that reminds me of a story my husband told me. Oh my God. He still couldn't go near it after the shower because it didn't smell any cleaner.
Let me tell
And
you
the girl's
something.
so beautiful.
Let
Sorry,
me tell you
continue.
something. When I was a young guy, I mean, I was with a woman one time, and I mean, I guess I was maybe 19 or 20 years old, and I mean, this lady was fine. I mean, she was fine as hell, and I'm telling you, when she took her pants down, when she dropped them pants, I mean, the smell was so loud. It was like I heard it. It was almost like, you know how you have those big fire alarms. You know, they'd be like burn. I mean, she stunk so bad I heard it, and I told her, I said, "Look, girl," I said, this isn't going to happen. Yeah, this isn't going to happen because there's no way you can. I guess some brothers could, but I mean, there's no way I can get past what you smell like. I mean, it's hard for me to get past what you smell like. I mean, if the scent is coming out of those drawers so bad that I expect to hear flies buzzing, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's not going to happen. So all you brothers who climbing on top of these women and it's smelling like hot garbage down there. First of all, you're selling yourself short because you can do better. And second of all, if you messing around and running up in that, you standing a good chance of catching something because she ain't taking care of that thing, man. She's not. Because there's no way down there should be smelling like hot garbage. It shouldn't be smelling like salmon on a sidewalk down there. It just shouldn't. And she can tell you what she want to tell you, that that's the natural smell and also kind of nonsense. It's BS, brothers. It's straight BS. It ain't supposed to be smelling like hot salmon. So continue, ladies. I just want to throw that out there.
If I could say though, and this is part of the issue with the whole lack of broad upsy, or being brought up by people who have a lack of broad upsy, is the women who tell you it's a natural smell and blah 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 blah. They were told that by someone, right? So they checked with their mom, their auntie, someone who was trusted, and normally older than them to ask, and someone told them that that's just normal, girl. Or everyone smells a little bit, or something like that. Someone told them that, right? And unfortunately, when it's somewhere like Canada, it's way more of a travesty because healthcare is free here. But there are free clinics and stuff like that. And like I know, we have weirdly we have free clinics which don't make any sense because everything's free. And what I noticed though with those healthy sexuality clinics is they don't care if you have BV or a yeast infection. They will not help, or trick, which is basically little parasites. But they only care if you have STDs. So ultimately, they'll check you, and if you don't have an STD, they will not treat you. They will tell you you are clean, you have no STDs. They will not say, well, you know what though? I mean, it kind of looks like a yeast infection, or well, you do have the fishy smell. It might be BV. Then they won't do that. And I'm saying here with our free healthcare, they won't do that. So they will send you out and tell you you're fine. So these women who A, there isn't free healthcare necessarily, but also or they're going to doctors, and they're probably going to like sex type clinics to make sure that they're getting the whole sex workup thing done, and they're told, oh well, you're disease free, and they think that that's all there is to it. I'm disease free, I'm fine. This is where a lot of these girls, you'll talk to them, over 30, and they've never had a pap smear because they're
Mm-hmm.
not seeing a gynecologist ever. They're probably rarely, if ever, seeing a family doctor, but certainly not for a yearly pap or a yearly checkup, let alone to say, hey, there's something a little bit off with it down there because I know something about it. So a lot of them are using it long before they have any concept of what it feels like just normally. They're using it before they're even aware of what it feels like. Like, and when I say it, I mean as in you walk around, you know what your vagina feels like when it's normal. So the second something's a tiny bit off, well, I have a lot of discharge today. I feel extra dry today. And I don't mean for sex, I mean just walking around and living. You would know. So, but these girls literally, they are having sex before they know what it normally feels like. They have sex first and they try to figure out if they feel normal or not after the fact.
Wow.
So, I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
doesn't well that leads me into this unicorns. Like if if a female isn't taking care of what she got down between her legs, doesn't that kind of affect her? Doesn't that kind of affect who she is as a woman? And when I say that, because if you're not taking care of that, if you're not taking care of your cooch, I mean, that's going to affect the rest of your femininity, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it affect your mind state? Wouldn't it affect how you deal with men? Wouldn't it affect how you carry yourself, so to speak? Because I mean, you can't be walking around with a cooch that smells like dead goldfish and freaking and feel confident. I mean,
I agree.
the
I
confidence
agree.
has to
I
be a
agree with
facade. It
Mhm.
has to be
A
a
hundred
you
facade.
percent.
know, Brother
You,
Xavier, uh I count these women as among the lowest of the low women, because if as long the only women who can get an excuse are homeless women, women who just simply do not have access to soap, water, a place to keep themselves clean. If you have access to any bathroom, shower, tub, soap, water, there's no excuse. I don't care if you got one pair of panties and you got to wash them by hand every night. There is no excuse to just run around with your any body odor, feet,
mhm.
underarm, anything,
Mhm.
let alone your Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty should always be pristine.
I,
Now, if Hello Kitty is running around here stinking, then
mhm,
you're most likely either a drug addict,
mhm.
that just she doesn't care about anything, let alone her hygiene. Or you're just, if you're not a drug addict woman and you just walk around here like you normal, but on a regular basis, you stink. You are just one of the scummiest, lowest women that I have ever had the displeasure of thinking about, because I get uncomfortable, physically agitated if I have not taken a shower. You know what I'm saying? Like if you work out and it's like I gotta clean, like I gotta wash it. My husband never, in the 20 years we were married, never had to pull my coattail. You're not smelling real good. No, 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 no. Every time he came to it, it was pristine. Every time. And if I thought for a moment that there was anything less than 100% happening, I was like, you know what, hold, give me a minute. Let me go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And I freshen all that up if I even thought that there might have been something amiss, or, I was walking around all day and I was doing errands all day. I got to shower, I got to wash it, I got to take a whole bath, anything. Why would you just stink? It makes me physically uncomfortable. And
I
then that
bet you.
Hello Kitty gets stank so bad. That's a foul smell when it get the piping up.
with sweat. I bet you it's some mental illness and deep depression there too. If we take out all those other reasons you just named, like the homelessness and drug addict or not having the ability to wash, it's probably a lot of mental illness and deep depression. Because to Brother Xavier's point, you got to feel really low as a person to smell like that on a daily basis. Something got to be wrong, even if it's like subconsciously wrong, that you're trying to keep people away or something like that you're not even well aware of. It got to be a little deeper than that.
I
Well,
think
I
Because
it
when
think
you
speaks volumes about how they take care of everything in life. I mean, if you're not taking care of like one of the most personal things about yourself, you could imagine how a person like that is taking care of their house or their children, or how they go to work and stuff. Like how do you go to work stinking, right? Like it's
kind of
just,
my point.
yeah.
Yeah. When you, like they say, when you're muddled in the mind and all confused, clean up your house, especially if your house is dirty, because it'll help you clear your mind. It'll help you think better, or having a clean desk and stuff like that. It just helps you out better. So somebody who stinks, you can guarantee their house is dirty, which is indicative of how they're feeling on the inside, all fucked
Hmm.
up.
Well, I think too, though, and again, it's a major problem when people go to clinics that only STD test, because it gives you a really inaccurate example of all the things that could be wrong down there. First of all, and a lot of those women, they have gone and they've gotten tested and whatever, and they look up things that could be wrong, and then you know what it tells you: if you have a yeast infection, you'll be itchy, right? Or you have PB,
Mm-hmm.
it'll burn. They might not have those symptoms. They might not burn, and they might not be
Mm-hmm.
itchy. So I think that's part of the issue as well, is that they're not, because again, I think we could solve a lot of those issues because there's probably a lot of shame there,
Mm-hmm.
but there's not a shame from them, because you know what, some of these girls who stink, they're cleaning themselves, they're scrubbing themselves raw, they're whatever, and you know what, it's like, oh, it's just a natural smell. Some girls, I've heard people say that some girls just have a natural smell, some girls natural smell is just stronger than others, and they
Mm-mm.
hate this natural smell, but it's not a natural smell, right? There is something wrong. It's just that, again, no one sat there and walked their asses into a gynecologist and said, this is what you got to do at least yearly. You know what I mean? Something goes awry from, today's appointment. If today's appointment, they say everything's fine. If anything has changed, it's smell, amount of discharge, this, that, whatever, you need to bring your ass back here and you need to get tested, around everything. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and that's why I say, I'm like, I do, and I have, and again, with my sister, we found out she was having sex at like 13. Well, into the gynecologist she went. Like there wasn't even like a pause moment, right? But I'm talking about like there's a couple people I worked with, and I just sat nearby, and you could smell the cheesy smell from like across the room, you know. And these are women again, and like I said, it's sad that they were going to the healthy sexuality clinics, thinking the healthy sexuality clinic would tell them about anything, and they were
Mm-hmm.
too ashamed to go to
Mm-hmm.
their family doctor about it, or spread their legs, quote unquote, for their family
Mm-hmm.
doctor to look. And so they go to this clinic, and that clinic didn't help them. You don't want to go to some random walk-in clinic, and then there's this system that kind of they spiral out into shame. Now that's not to say that everything else we have said isn't true. Of course, ladies, we all know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just saying that again, it's why it's such a multi-layered problem.
It is. You bring up two things that I told my daughter too. One was know what your body feels, because she has sickle cell too. So this was really important on more levels than just vaginal. But know how your body feels when you're having the perfect bill of health, so that you know when it feels abnormal. If you don't know what it feels like to be okay, you won't know what it feels like to not be okay. Like pay attention to that. Stay in tune with your body, but also make sure that if you lie to anybody else, you do not lie to your doctor. You might not want to tell me the truth. You might not want to tell the truth, but you always tell your doctor the truth. I don't care how embarrassing the truth may be. They have to know the truth so that
Exactly.
they can help you. And these are embarrassing conversations, but I mean, I'll be honest, my mother never sat down with me and had these type of conversations with me.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
wonder how often does it really even happen, to be real honest. I mean, because outward appearances can't tell you, it's not a good indicator. Like that family looks so together, I know they must talk about everything, because that's not even true. Sex is sometimes taboo in a lot of those households that are well put together, you know. And then the ones that aren't well put together, everybody's out for self. So the last thing mom has to worry about is how to make sure, daughter blossoms into a woman, That's the last thing on their list of priorities.
Well, isn't that that's part of womaning up? And we had lost the signal there for like 2 minutes, y'all, but somehow it magically came back. I was calling y'all. I was like, "Can y'all hear me?" And y'all, when I came on, y'all was just still talking. So I guess there was no break in the stream. I don't know what the hell happened on
Not at
my end,
all.
but
It looked like you came on twice, though. It looked like you logged in and
Yeah.
there was two of you.
yes. The old the ghetto ghost of TPOT strikes again. I got a ghetto ghost inside my stuff. Um, but that whole thing, when we talk about womaning up, um, like you ladies just got done speaking about, if they have that going on, that has to affect, their confidence, especially if they say, okay, let's say there's somebody who's not, mentally challenged or psychotic or a crackhead or whatever. It's somebody who's not that, and they have that going on. Obviously, that has to affect their confidence. That has to affect their ability to be feminine to a degree, because whatever they're doing is fake if they got the dead goldfish down in the drawers. So all that's got to be a facade, like I said before. But with that, I want to say this: do you ladies believe that if you got a woman who's not really taking care of herself, that these have to be the these are the worst kind of women to have children. These are the worst kind of women to be teaching children. I mean, because they got all that going on, they're not taking care of their body. They smell like hot
Hmm.
garbage. I mean, like Lady Katz was saying, if you can't even take care of the most personal space on your body, how you gonna take care of house? How you gonna take care of children? How you gonna maintain a man? I mean,
Hmm.
how could you possibly do all of that? So I want to ask you, ladies, this: if, let's say, women were cleaner, all right? Let's say that every woman got taught how to be a cleaner woman. Do you believe that that would make women let's just talk about black folks, because we always talk about black folks. If if more black women were cleaner women, do you think they would be better women, more feminine women, better mothers? What's you ladies' take on that?
My gut just says yes, without even thinking about it, because I know the pride I take in cleaning or whatever, or it feels like you have a purpose, or like you're giving back to your family, to your children, to the universe, in hopes to receive something that you give back. I mean, we all, if you believe in energy and things like that, what you give is what you get. Um, Especially because me having some of the ailments I have, sometimes I can't do everything and my husband has to do a lot. So I know when I'm sweeping the kitchen and washing the dishes, or making the meal when he was going out of town for almost a week last week, everything I had to do, it made me stand up a little straighter. It made me feel like I was on top of things. So I have to assume that if you were to go ahead and start to make a practice, a habit of it 14 days straight, is what it takes to build that habit, that you will then start to see a lot of clutter decrease around other areas of your life. More importantly, the way you think about things, because that's what the issue is, especially if I tie it back to what I said at the end of what Kendra was saying, that I feel like people who don't take care of themselves, who have no other reasons why not, like the homelessness or drug addict or so on and so forth, have to have some sort of emotional or mental illness or issue going on, depression or whatever, deeper or not as deep, to actually be there. That means they're also not able to, at that time, make sound decisions when it's called on or about their life or for others or on behalf of others. And if they were to have children, their children would be just as nasty as they are. And the only thing that might stop them from being that nasty is because they know other people will see it and report their asses. But sometimes that's the only thing that keeps some of these women afloat. They don't want to get in trouble.
You know,
So, yeah, I'm done. I ended there. I was just going to reiterate. So, no need to do that. That's pretty much it.
I would have to say, I don't know for a fact, but here's what I'll do. I don't know if anybody ever watched that show Hoarders.
Mm-hmm.
And with
Mm-hmm.
hoarders, the first thing that they do is they come in and clean the clutter, the physical clutter of the home. And usually, as they do that, the emotional clutter comes up
Mm-hmm.
to the surface,
Mm-hmm.
which is why they not only have a cleaning crew there, but they have a psychologist present
Mm-hmm.
as well, or a therapist, or what have you, and to talk to the people in the home or their family members about how it affects them, how this physical clutter actually helps affects them. And usually the hoarder starts hoarding for a specific reason that they then uncover. So, with that example in mind, I think for some people it might help, perhaps, um, because there is a widespread um, problem of major depression among blacks. But since we're talking about women, black women have a big problem with depression, with uh, trauma, and we're taught by, covertly or overtly, that we aren't to talk about the things that hurt us. Um, a lot of us have encountered some abuse in one form or another, and we don't address those things. So, in order to mask the pain and to bury it, you get this overinflated sense of self, which is a facade for a lot of black women. Oh, I'm a queen, I'm a this, I'm a that. You notice that the black women who say that the most are usually the lowest tier women. And I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm saying that because usually they've gone through something, they have never addressed it, because we know that there's a stigma in the black community about seeing a therapist or somebody, because we don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
labeled as crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's white people stuff, going to a therapist for whatever reason. And so a lot of that gets buried, that baggage that we come with, and we don't know how to cope. We don't ever learn good coping mechanisms, how to deal, how to confront, and how to resolve and get over a past hurt, or anything of that nature. Usually those hurts have come by way of the mother. Either she directly did it or she stood by while something was done. And so in the black community, we worship our mothers. And so that is a conflict when you know she has been the culprit in your pain, but you are obliged to worship her anyway and say how good of a mother she was, and you only get one mom, and you gotta love your mom. Well, that's your mom, and that's ingrained. And it's like, I can't confront her, or I can't blame her for things that happened while on her watch when I was a kid, when I couldn't defend against whatever it was. And so this is why you get a lot of these young ladies, you know, saying, "Hey, I'm a bad bitch," this, that, and the third, because they don't know what womanhood is. Nobody taught them. Just like a lot of these young men don't know what manhood is. Who taught them? Where was his dad? Where was another man that could teach him? So same thing with the woman. Where was the woman in her life? Because her mother failed at that job, and there was no other female that was on her womanhood that could teach that girl, this is how you operate as a woman.
Hmm.
Mm.
Well, I agree with the ladies, and I just wanted to add, when you think about children, for example, and you start young, and all of this home training, brought up, see, as I like to call it, starts from when you're very young, because you first you kind of clean your children, and then you stand over and you observe them clean themselves, make sure they don't drown in the tub, and then eventually one day you leave them to clean themselves. And most of life, at least in 21st century, that's how we learn things, right? It's this kind of shared transmission communication of social norms. So you think about a small child, for example, you tell them they have to clean their disaster of a room, and then they say they've cleaned it, and you go and you look, and it looks sparkling, it looks spotless, it looks great. And then if you open the closet or you look under the bed, it's because they just took all the garbage and all the toys and all whatever and just jammed it under the bed and jammed it in the closet, shut the door. And you know what though? It looks beautiful. It looks very clean. Had you not taken the extra effort to lift up that bed skirt and look underneath there or open that closet door, you would be fooled into thinking, oh, it's clean. Uh, you know, you think about cleaning kitchen countertop, and you can walk in, the kitchen looks really clean. Why don't you move the microwave or move something else sitting on the countertop and tell me if there's a whole bunch of crumbs and garbage and whatever mess underneath that microwave, underneath those things sitting on the countertop. If there is, they didn't take the time to really clean the countertop because they just cleaned whatever was visible. They just made sure that from a visible perspective, anything you could possibly look at and see directly was clean. That doesn't mean that it's actually clean. You could smell a smell inside the kitchen, can't figure out where it is. Well, when was the last time you moved everything on the countertops or everything on the floor, like the garbage bins and whatever, to sweep and clean and whatever behind those things, right? And, for those of us who have either had to, we got raised properly or, we had to figure out how to raise ourselves properly or some combination of the two, we know that, okay, fine, on a lazy day or quick days or whatever, yeah, you're just gonna wipe the surfaces, whatever, you're not gonna move everything. But you know what, on deep clean days you're gonna make sure you move everything. But the one, you're not gonna sit there and say, I gotta clean my room and just take everything and shove it underneath your bed and shove it in the closet because you know that that's not cleaning. So I think about, from the perspective of, for those of us who don't clean our rooms like that, that probably transmits into other aspects of our lives. So I would say that from that perspective, you teach, the girl might have beautiful makeup on. She might have beautiful weave on. She might have, clean clothes, even clean panties on. But if she doesn't know not to just, cover up a problem, oh, I'll just, put on clean panties and spray some perfume and call it a day. Well, if she doesn't know to do better than that, it doesn't matter how pretty it looks and how clean it looks on the surface, it's still filthy. Right. So I think that teaching them what clean is, teaching them that, yeah, you know what, you clean soap and water, it doesn't get rid of the smell, it doesn't get rid of the itch, doesn't get rid of the problem. And you don't have an STD, there's still other things it can be, and teaching them how to clean themselves from many perspectives other than just one, but definitely teaching them all of them, I think will be the way of getting them to be that more thorough and consistent and paying attention more in life. Because I think that those women who have the dirty crotches and are walking around spraying perfume and putting on, pretty weave and makeup, those are the same ones that are going to then raise children. And when their children do stuff like shove all the stuff underneath the bed or whatever, they open the door, this room better be clean. It is. They look and they go, good. And they close the door back behind them. That's not raising your children. You should be behind them just checking. That was kind of fast. Let me open that closet door for me. Lift up that bed. Let me look. Right? Because let me make sure you did it properly. Because I got to teach you now. I got to train you now. I got to rear you now. Right? And so if they can take that time and attention on themselves, they'll be able to take that time and attention on everything, starting from inward, outward, and that reaches to everything.
Woman up. Woman up, ladies. You want to go? You want to say something, Lady Cats?
Just real quick, I think it would really just teach them how to prioritize and how to be more responsible, which would then trickle down into the children. That's it.
Um, Lady Kendra made a very good point, and she talked about how we idolize our mothers, even though our mother is usually the culprit in what
Mm-hmm.
happened to us, or the person who allowed it to happen to us, or denied that it happened to us when we brought it to her attention, however you want to put it. Let me ask you ladies this. What if, I know we all, see mom as the golden calf in black society for some reason. Mom is the golden calf. But do you believe that women, as they grow older, I mean, maybe not necessarily in teenage years, but when they get to be an adult, because I know a lot of them don't do this, if they know that their mom either allowed something to happen to them, meaning, abuse, because, somewhere between 6 and 8 girls in black society are abused by the time they're 16. That's just a statistical fact. And a lot of times we know that mom knew about it. All right. So as these women get to be adults and mom knew about it, mom ignored it, or mom even facilitated it for that matter, do you believe that it would be better if these women confronted mom over this stuff, as opposed to just ignoring it like we're known to do and live in denial as black folks? Do you think it would be better if these women, as they got to be adults, confronted mom over the shit that happened to them when they were kids?
I think it would, just
100%.
to get closure. Although I don't know if any of them would admit responsibility. That's my only thing about it.
Depending on who your mother is, um, maybe you should clarify why or what you're looking for, um, in terms of. Wait a minute, can y'all hear me?
Yes, I
Yes.
can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What you're looking for in terms of what you expect to get out of it, because
Mm-hmm.
I had to
Exactly.
swallow the fact that I wasn't gonna get a resolution. I wasn't gonna get a validation from my confronting of my mom. So I had to just make that okay with myself. And I had to make it enough to get it out and say it to her. It didn't matter who else I said it to. She needed to hear it. She needed to know, regardless of whether she denied it or whether she took accountability or not, she needed to know that I know and I recognize who and what happened. Like, who was the culprit? Like, I know what it was. If you want to know why our relationship is the way that it is, I'll explain it to you. I'll break it down to you like you too, so that you'll never be able to say you didn't know. Now you can deny it and you can do all this other stuff, but it gave me like, okay, it's out. I don't have to dance around her. I advocate anyone who has had trauma at the hands of their mother, especially if it has affected you into your adulthood, to sit down with her, talk to her about that, preferably with in a therapy session. But if you can't afford that or you can't do that for whatever reason, then she needs to be talked to anyways, because you have to get it off of your chest, if nothing else. To dance around it does no one any good, especially the child who went through it, because depending on the severity of the trauma, uh, that person is probably stuck at that emotional age wherever the trauma took place. And so they have to get past it in order to be a better person. And a mother who cares about you will understand that, even if it hurts her to hear it. You'll know what kind of mama you get, because if she denies you when both of you know it's true, your mama probably ain't shit.
Mm.
Hmm.
So if
I agree.
mom don't
Yeah.
woman up, if mom isn't willing to
Hmm.
woman up, you should be able to.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Lady Ming.
I mean, you have to. I agree with them. I mean, you have to. You have to woman up in that regard. It's about self-preservation. It will eat you alive, even if the resolution doesn't look like what you wanted to, which is that you and your mother are able to rebuild, or that she ever says, I'm sorry, or that she even remembers, because they like to pull that shit out their ass that they don't remember it the way that you did, which could be true and could not be true. I mean, our memories are fickle like that. But and if it ends up, at least you'll know who you're dealing with and how to proceed in life. It's hard when you have one foot in and one foot out. That's a very, very tough place to be, because I rode that fence for a lot of many years. When you love, I love you, but I don't love you. We got issues, but we don't. It's something, some pink elephant in the room, but we ain't gonna speak about it. We did talk about it, but we didn't talk about it. That is a very, very tough place to be. If nothing else, you'll know if you're justified in cutting them off, because it will. I've cut some people off that I know I'm justified in cutting them off, and it still creeps into my mind how I miss them. So I can only imagine what it would feel like to cut somebody off and you have no closure, or don't know for full certainty if they deserve it or if that's the right move. So if nothing else, for self-preservation, because that's all it really is about at this point, is to be able to unload this burden and put it on the lap of who deserves it. Let them sit there with that. Whether they sit there with it or not, after that is none of your damn business. The fact is that you're gone, you're over it. And if that entails more therapy, or even start of therapy, or prayer, or however, but at least you have to start the healing, and it doesn't start with secrets. Secrets are powerful. And to just say that we're not going to talk about it is essentially, I'm keeping your secret. I'm letting you walk around here as if everything is okay when it's not, that you have no onus in this issue when you do. So hell yeah, you have to talk to her. You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to her too, because let's be honest, a true addict or could never recover if they don't face what they did, nor could a woman who's made bad choices in the men she's allowed around her children. If she doesn't even realize why those choices are bad and own it, she's going to continue to make the same choices and hurt and endanger and harm other people as well. So you owe it to yourself, and that is part of putting on your big girl panties, being able to look the devil dead in the eye and not blink. That's what you
Mm.
have to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I 100% agree with ladies. At the end of the day, for you to not confront it, and I don't think it's necessarily about confronting her directly, because you know what, there are some people who are living in a reality right now where that mother that they need to confront so desperately isn't here anymore. She's dead. She's disappeared. She's gone. Whatever. And this is where, you know what, going to actual therapy might be incredibly useful for those particular people, because therapy will teach you how to confront her even when she's gone. But you can't, there's no way you can't live in a world and be 100% healthy and, emotionally stable and move forward and raise an emotionally stable, healthy family, and be a healthy and emotionally stable wife and mother and whatever, unless you have been able to confront and put to bed those incredibly complicated, incredibly painful feelings that you have regarding your mother, your childhood, anything that in essence traumatized you. You want to yell and scream and tell her that, you know what, this is all on you. This is all on your fault and whatever. And you need to get that out. You need to get that out. The one thing that is important though, and it needs to be clear for any woman listening to this who, you know, maybe your mom's gone, is that at the end of the day, what she has to say back is not the point. So if you're going to confront someone with the intention of having them say, "I'm so sorry, you were so right," you know, like, give me another chance, you know, to fall on their knees weeping and, you know, whatever, that's not the point. And you're not ready at that point then to confront, because the truth is there's a good chance that you're going to get anything but that. And if that's what you're expecting and that's what you're needing, then that still isn't giving you closure. And you're going to spend the next God knows how long sitting there and trying to still fight that point, to try to get validation, as Kendra said, you know, to try to get someone to validate your feelings. You need to understand and know that your experiences and your feelings are valid with or without anyone else telling you so. And you need to get those words out. You need to stand up for yourself. Whether or not you standing up for yourself is validated or not isn't the point. The second that you know that and you stand up for yourself, then you can actually put it to bed and you can move forward without carrying that heavy burden on your shoulders. You know, giving it to the other person is great, but if they're not there, they don't need to be there for you to be able to still make that confrontation and then put it to bed and move on.
Yeah, because I don't imagine, you know, especially once if your mother's still alive and she's older, I don't imagine mom apologizing for letting her boyfriend rape you. I just don't. I haven't seen that, because I know women that it has happened to. You know, when you're black, you just know people that shit has happened to, and mom's in total denial of it. I mean, I interviewed a girl one time who two of her mother's men molested her as a child. And to this day, and now I believe she's about 40 now. And to this day, her mother has not came clean with it. And the crazy thing is that the second the second one of her mother's men who molested her eventually got her pregnant, and she had the child. So there's proof and everything that this happened, and the mother still doesn't admit it. And I've told her, I said, you're never going to hear mom apologize for letting her boyfriends rape you. I mean, when you confront your mom about this, you have to confront her to clear your mind, to get some satisfaction for yourself, because mom is not going to like apologize, admit it, give credence to your story. Because I often talk about this stuff, and I often say that, with your mom, okay, if mom has a boyfriend, right, and boyfriend's molesting child, and child goes to mom and tells mom, hey, mom, your boyfriend is doing something to me. More often than not, the first thing that happens is it's denied, okay? The second thing that happens is the child themselves are blamed for what's going on, all right? The child is accused of lying. The child is blamed for whatever's happening, and the boyfriend continues to live there, exist there, and that's that. And I think that the reason why that happens is because these are a bunch of women who will not woman up. Number one, the reason why they will not face this, because if they admit to themselves that this child is telling the truth and not deny what's going on, they will also have to admit that they chose a freaking child rapist / molester as a mate. They would have to admit that. So I think it's more so of them not wanting to admit that to themselves, as opposed to, not wanting to believe that this is happening to this child, because a lot of times I do believe that these women are willing to put their child on the chopping block just to keep a man around. And I truly believe that. I believe that some of them not only are in denial of it, turn the other way from it, I also believe that they have a tendency to facilitate it. And I believe they facilitate it with an agenda, because they actually put their child on the chopping block, because they feel like if they have a child there that this guy is willing to molest, maybe that may be an incentive for him to stay. As crazy as that sounds, I truly believe that that is part of the mental illness within our society, where they're willing to actually sacrifice that child's mentality, that child's emotional state. They're willing to sacrifice all of that just so they can have this dude around. Well, let me ask you ladies this. We're gonna move on down to another line of questioning. How do you ladies feel about a man telling a woman, to woman up, whether it be about her body, whether it be about the way she conducts herself, whether it be about her hair? If it's a woman that they're dealing with, not just some guy walking around in the mall telling women to woman up. If you're dealing with this woman and y'all are in a relationship, or maybe y'all are married, how do y'all feel about a man saying, hey, look, girl, I mean, you need to do this, this, and that. You need to not do this, this, and that. What do you ladies take on that?
I think it depends on whether or not they like the man or how close they are to that man, that they might be receptive to it. Because there will be some guys who will say something and they'll be like, oh, well, he doesn't know anything. He ain't nobody, blah, 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 blah. But if it was like some really good looking guy who told them something, they might be more receptive to it, or like some guy they're attracted to. Or if it's like in the family, I don't know. It really just depends. Like sometimes a brother might tell his sister something, she might not listen. It just really depends on, I guess, how the women feel towards that particular guy, you know.
I think that a man in her family, like if it's her husband or her father or her brother, if they've got a good relationship, he has every right to pull her coattail um, on whatever it is that it might be, because, if he's part of her family or he's in her circle, then that's more than likely coming from a place of concern and love to her, and not from a place of, I'm just being an asshole and this is what I'm gonna say. So, like my husband has had to, you know, say, hey, this is what I think you should probably be doing, or this is what I don't know that these are the right decisions for you to make, and I would go to him sometimes and ask, like, what do you think about what I'm trying to do, or what I want to do, or what I did? What was your take on that? And, I would listen to what he had to say. Same thing with my dad, same thing with my older brother, because I knew that they were coming from a place of concern and love. So even if they were saying something I didn't want to hear, or I thought, man, made me feel some type of way, you know, it's like, screw all that. If he telling you the truth, then you got to swallow it. Usually the truth is uncomfortable. So, and I was lucky enough to have people around me that did not stroke my ego for the sake of it. If they had to tell me something, then they was going to tell the truth.
Next up.
Well,
I'll go ahead. I'll go last.
okay. Well, I know for me, like I'm an ornery asshole. I don't know. It started when I was really young, and I'm not sure why. But if you tell me what to do, I will do the opposite. Like to the point, like it's pathological. So like I would be in the middle of cleaning my room when I was like 8 years old, 9 years old. I'd be in the middle of cleaning my room, my mother would open the door and say, "You better clean this room today." And as soon as she shut the door, I immediately would stop. So for me, at least, approaching me with, "You must do this," or "You need to do this," is like the exact opposite way of getting me to do anything. But with that being said now, because we're talking about people who love me and care about me, now if they address something that I am doing, and they say, "Listen, I want to talk to you about this because I notice you're doing this. Um, I want to ask your motivations. What's going on?" Then yeah, I'm willing basically to take a check about what I'm doing, and I'm willing to answer for what I'm doing, and I'm willing to reevaluate what I'm doing. But I do not do well with you better, or you need to, or basically telling me what to do. Um, the only the only exception to that rule is if my husband were to say something like that, because he knows me so well. If he were to come to me after 10 years being together and said something like that, as it would take me a couple days. Like, I can't lie, like I wouldn't be able to initially do it. But if he really came to me like that, it would mean like this isn't a discussion thing, whatever. Like, it would have to be something really serious, and I would have to stop and take note of why are you telling me what I must do or what I have to do and whatever. And I would try to figure that out, and approach him and ask him about it, because I am about, ultimately I do want to grow, and I do want to be better and get better. And I know that anyone who's going to come to me and talk to me about anything that I am or am not doing is doing so from that place of concern, is doing so because they're looking at me and they know me and they know I'm always trying to be effective and efficient and get shit done and whatever. So if I'm slipping and I didn't notice, and they're willing to come and talk to me about it, then I appreciate that. I just I'm still working on being very specific with, don't tell me what to do. I'm not a child. So yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem with a man pulling my coattails about some things. The way I've structured my life at this stage of it, I have a very good support system. So I wouldn't have a reason to second guess where it's coming from, because in life you have to consider the source. You have to be able to discern motives or underlying motives and things like that when you're dealing with people. But this group, the people I have around me, from my family to my friends, I wouldn't have to do that. But I'm not a defensive person, but a little bit I am, just a little bit. I'm a little defensive, but even still, I would take stock of the things where it hurt me, and I would try to figure out why it hurt me, and still try to learn and grow from it, because these are people around me that have known me for a very long time, upwards of 10 plus years, depending on who I'm pointing to. So for me, it was really not a big deal like that to listen to the men that I have around me. Now, some arbitrary dude who's telling me something, I would probably curse his ass up and down, back and forth, but I would still take stock of the stings. Why am I stinging when he said this thing? Because he resonated somewhere that I need to pay attention to, so that I'm better on point and I'll never get corrected again. Because that's also a part of my personality. I have an issue with authority. I don't like being told or reprimanded or anything like that. So I don't put myself in a position to have to be told or reprimanded. Controlling. That's what some people like to call it. But I wouldn't mind. It wouldn't bother me like that. I've been told some things about myself. I cussed their ass out, but I thought about it. I did. When we was arguing and nobody, because come on, let's be honest. How so often do people come to you and say, "Hey guys, let's sit down and have a meaningful heart to heart. I've been noticing that you've been doing some things." No, usually it comes out in the middle of an argument or in the middle of you checking them about something. And so then they took the opportunity to tell you about yourself, deflection, but it be the truth. So usually it comes in that form, and at least with me, so it's like, okay, I have to come back and talk about it. And I don't have any ego. I'll come back and tell my husband, you know what, you was right, I was wrong. Or when I said that, I could have did it a little kinder. I'm not apologizing for what I said, because I meant it. But I understand where you may have been coming from more. I don't have no ego tied up into that type of thing. So it's not a big deal to me.
So when we talk about the title of the show, Woman Up, what would you ladies tell? What would you ladies tell? And let's talk about the lower tier, because Lady Kendra mentioned earlier the lower tier women. What would you tell one of these lower tier women? What would you tell them if they came to you and said, "How do I woman up?" What would you tell one of these women?
The first thing I would tell them is to take stock about what you need to woman up for. If you don't even have a clear understanding of why you're here, it's nothing else we can talk about. If you're gonna just lie to me, you can't lie to yourself. We got to first sit here and figure out where's the issues and why are they the issues. You have to let go of this ego and this veneer and this facade that you've cultivated that's gotten you this far, but nowhere fast, really, or else we wouldn't even be having this conversation. So we're going to start there. What's the issues as you see them, and then from there take ownership of those issues. So nobody can tell me anything about myself. And I'm not being saying in a cocky way. I'm saying it in a I know myself very well, good, bad, or indifferent. You can't tell me I meant something when I didn't, because I'm very clear about what I mean. It's taken me a long time to be that way and to be confident and comfortable with who I am and stop apologizing for the gifts God gave me, whether I'm using them for good or evil at the time. So you have to be able to sit there and say, I fucked up. Yeah, when I did this or I said that, I did do that and I did say that. And yes, but this decision led me to that thing and whatever, so on and so forth. Because if you can't even start there with onus and ownership, we ain't going nowhere fast. We not doing shit. We might as well just like, see you, have a nice day, next. Because we can't even get no further than that. And then on top of that too, you have to also have an idea of who it is that you want to be. Who do you have any role models? And I don't give a shit if it's television or real life. Where are you trying to go? I mean, because otherwise we're aimless. We're just like, riding around at nighttime with no lights on. We just, out here bogus. Who is it that you're trying to be, and know why you're trying to be that? And I'm not talking about the outward appearance. I'm talking about the inner. Why do you want to be this way? Why do you think this is that? I want to get into how you think and what are you tying those things to make these good things in your world, and then you have to also have an aptitude for listening and shutting the fuck up. Too many people talk too goddamn much. Like I am quick to tell somebody you talk too much, because it's true. People don't understand that you got two ears to listen and one mouth to talk. Be quiet. If you can't take direction, you're not going to go anywhere. And that's direction at work, at home, with your friends, and school. It doesn't matter. Shut the fuck up, and be quiet. And I know I'm stressing that, but it's so important. If you talk to these younger girls, they have an answer for freaking everything.
They sure
They got
do.
an answer for fucking everything. And they won't be quiet. And
Yeah.
I hate when I have to say shut the fuck up, because now I'm pulling rank. But they pull you to that. They have to say, be quiet, listen, learn something for a second. Don't learn all your lessons by actually doing it. Look around you, learn, secondhand, pay attention to what's going on, because it is true that history really does repeat itself. And start sharpening your discernment. Figure out what went wrong in that circumstance or situation that you could do differently, because you will have the same circumstance and situation. It dawned on me a long time ago when I was in my teens, and I heard my mama on the phone gossiping with her friends about some of the same shit I was going through in fucking grammar school. And I'm like, ain't this something? And it was the same thing. Like in principle though, you know what I'm saying? And that's when I realized that young hoes become old hoes. They don't change.
Mm-mm.
They sure don't. It's like a young
I
fool
did.
become an old fool.
Don't it?
And
I made that damn. I did.
It's
I made the connection in my early teens that people don't change. And I could be wrong about what I'm going to say, but what I do say to people is that there's only so many types of souls walking this earth, and you're going to continuously keep encountering them. Different faces, different body chemistry, different circumstance, different everything. But it'll always bear a ring of something you've seen and heard from somewhere before. But you can never understand that if you're not honing in on that skill because it's there. You just have to pay attention, and you can't pay attention until you strip away all the ego and all these other things that have made you up to who you are now, which is evidently wrong. And I'm not saying wrong like, oh, you're a bad person, but wrong in that it's not getting you to where you want to be. Because see, we've identified where you want to be, and this ain't getting you there.
meaning you brought up something that was very key
Well, hold up.
as far
Can I just interrupt you, Lady Kendra, for 1 second? I have to repeat something that Lady Ming said. Young hoes become
mm-mm.
old hoes. Remember that, lady. I just had to say that. I'm sorry, Lady Kendra. Go ahead.
It's
no,
true.
and it's true. And also, she brought up something very important that people, especially women, like to take for a small thing, which is the art of listening. If I had to speak to the any of the ladies who might be listening to this on playback, who who you are, if you aren't womaning up, and you can identify yourself if this conversation makes you uncomfortable. You're probably one of the women who need to
Mm-hmm.
woman up. Um, First of all, the talking, and I can usually peep exactly what's wrong with you and why your life go the way it does by letting you talk for a good 30 minutes to an hour. Now I could just see your whole mindset. This is why stuff go wrong in your life. And usually they can't do something very important and being discussed, which was take direction. You can't be told anything. And my thing is, if you can't be told nothing and you know everything, you might as well go ahead somewhere and die because life is over.
Hmm.
You don't need to be taught nothing. You can't
If
learn
I can't
nothing.
teach you, the streets gonna teach you. At least you
Right.
know I care.
So,
Mhm.
that's just like my mama used to say, I whoop your ass because I love you. But if I don't whoop
Hmm.
your ass, the streets gonna whoop it and they don't love you.
Hmm.
So, you have to be able to take some type of direction from somebody. And they know how to do it because when they get over to that work, and that white man tell them
Hmm.
something, she don't give him no lip. And when she go down to that welfare office and the government said, well, we ain't gonna give you no money, no stamps, if you don't do such and such, she listen to that. So you know how to listen. You listen to what you want to listen to with your selective hearing having self. So you can listen, you just don't want to listen to people who you don't think is important, or people who, well, they ain't feed me, they ain't paying my bills. This is the only thing important to you, not being a good person, not, what I'm saying, getting on a journey of self-discovery, which I find a lot of people are missing. A lot of these women don't know who they are. They just don't know. You get to my age and you don't know who you are? How? How did you come how do you even conduct your day-to-day business? I don't even understand how you conduct day-to-day functions without knowing who you are, because if you don't know who you are, you don't know how to move. You don't know how to
Hmm.
even move through the world. And it's a sad case because they don't know how to move through the world, which is why they end up the way that they end up, and they raise their children the way that they raise them, and which is accounts for a lot of why our community is the way that it is. It's not 100% the reason, but mothers are the first teachers of the child, whether she wants to be or not. She's teaching the child something, whether it's good or bad, or whether she's verbally saying it, or she's doing it and child is watching. So, you just never went on a journey of self-discovery at all. You never looked in the mirror and said, You know what? I need to drop down and come clean with me." You can't even be truthful about yourself to yourself. You just living a whole lie. And it's unforgivable, really. I don't really care what kind of trauma or childhood you had. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot going on with me, but it was unforgivable to not go on any type of self-discovery journey. I started my journey at like 11 or 12 years old. So it's no excuse, really.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the way that I see, and again, I'm just gonna qualify the fact that, the Black community here is the same in some ways, different in others. So, what I can say for sure that I mean humans lack a lot of in general, but our community really does is honesty and openness. And I don't necessarily mean with each other. I mean with self because I think it's perceived we perceive it that they're lying to everyone else to try to get things and whatever, but a lot of times they're lying to themselves. They have taught themselves the practice, obviously normally observed from mothers, aunties, whatever, of telling themselves something about their behavior, about their looks, about their aspirations, whatever, telling themselves something about that is so untrue, and they know it's untrue, but they gotta lie to themselves to feel better about themselves. So, I would teach them that concept of, what the very first thing you got to do is learn how to be open and honest with yourself. Because if you can't, anything else you try to learn is going to fall to the wayside because you are so busy lying to yourself that you've now been able to get yourself into this position now where you don't even know what to do. You don't even know what to do because you spent so much time lying about so many different things that you don't even have a way of identifying, because in your head, all you have are all the lies you've told yourself, and you're not even sure which one of those is true or not. From there, I would say the next thing you need to learn how to do, and this is outside of yourself, is respect. Do you know what respect is? Do you know what it means? Do you know who you should respect, who deserves your respect, who does not deserve your respect? And this is from outside of yourself, because when we're children, we don't learn how to respect ourselves first. We learn how to respect others, and we learn who is supposed to be respectable and who deserves respect and who we're supposed to show respect and who gets our respect whether we think they deserve it or not, et cetera, et cetera. From there we start learning how to respect ourselves. From self-respect comes the self-confidence, and from that, when you have all of that, you can start being open and honest with those around you, because you don't if you are lying to the world around you and you still think that is an acceptable way of behaving, how are you ever going to be able to own up, step up, and do what you need to do if you still think it's acceptable for you to make excuses aren't true, to brush off behaviors and whatever, when what you're saying isn't true, but what, it gets you a pass on this one, right? So from all of that, before you even try to identify specific things that, really need to be identified and attacked and changed, you know, I know it comes from a baseline core of you have not built any character within yourself. And because you haven't built character, you haven't built integrity, you haven't built self-worth and self-respect, and you haven't built enough self-confidence that you can stand there and own everything that you are and everything that you say and everything that you do, and you can own it in one way or the other, whether you're proud of it or not. You can stand there and own it and say, yeah, this is who I am. Yeah, that is a decision I made. No, I don't like it. Or yeah, I do like it. And so you know what, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to change that because I don't like it. Right now you are not that place. So many of our women, and it doesn't seem to matter where they hail from, so many of our women are so busy revising history in their minds and lying out loud, because ultimately if they were to admit anything, of the choices that they made, they would be so ashamed to be caught in such a deep web of shame and regret. And they can't allow themselves to go there. So they don't. So, you know what? If you, especially the younger you are, the better it is to try to start this, because eventually you're going to get yourself to the point where you're over 50 or over 60 or over 70, whatever. And you know what? This has been 70 years of your life. By then, it is too late, really and truly, because by then you've burned too many bridges. You have built too many fake relationships. You've destroyed too many relationships because of how fake that ultimately you've made them. So that would be basically my advice from just jump point. If we can get to that place where you've developed all of those things and now you want to start attacking specific things, sure. But I think once you develop those things, it'll become really clear where you need to step up, what you need to change, and how you need to go about it.
Um, wow, y'all pretty much hit everything on the head there. I think a lot of these younger ladies need to be more honest, and I think what I would tell them to do is be more receptive to criticism, because um, everybody gets criticized, and the problem, like one of the problems that a lot of these women have, is that they aren't very good at taking criticism, and somebody says something to them, the smallest little thing, they want to have a big explosion about it. So that's one thing I would tell them to do. I would also tell them to, just, I guess, just be more receptive to advice. Yeah.
Do you ladies believe that at times, because we always, a lot of us brothers, we always talk about how emotional women are about things and stuff like that. Do you ladies believe that when it comes to facing these faults, these bad decisions, these miscalculations in judgment, these demons, if you will, do you think it's all emotional, or is it just straight up female cowardice that keeps these women from doing this?
I think the cowardice is part of the emotion. Um, I mean, being scared of something is an emotional response. So, yeah, I think it's both.
So they won't woman up because they're cowards.
Yeah.
It can
Pose the.
be a daunting
Mhm.
task to look yourself in the mirror and depending on what your life is like and what has been happening and what your past is, to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm not who I've told myself I am.
Mhm.
People's experiences of me have not been good, and I have to accept that. It is difficult to accept your own faults, flaws, character defect, personality defect. It's difficult to hear that, hey, you've been wrong here. You've been making messed up decisions, and you wronged some people, and some of these wrongs may be able to be righted, and maybe some of them can't. And to have to accept that is daunting, mainly because once you accept it, it begs the question, what are you going to do about it?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the same, situation, like for facing any truth, because truth demands that something be done at this point. Lies do not. You can dwell in a lie, but a truth, or whether about yourself or whether about somebody else, it demands some action behind it. Because if the truth is that I have not been a good person to these people or myself or what have you, then now I have to make some changes. And if I don't make these changes, then I have to accept that I'm not a good person, and then I got to be okay with that. And then I can't get mad if other people think I'm not a good person too, and they treat me
Mhm.
accordingly.
Yeah, womaning up is not for the faint at heart, not at all. And it's not something that you ever stop doing. It just changes what the face of that looks like. But the spirit of it is the same. It doesn't change. You know, that part doesn't. I've been womaning up forever. Womaning up before I even knew that's what I was doing. Womaning up before I was a freaking woman, you know. Um, it's something that we're going to continuously have to keep doing, and you can't escape it. I mean, you only have one of two choices: happen to life or let life happen to you. Those are the only two choices you have. And all the weak shit, the shit that doesn't require no tears, no blood, and no sweat, that's when you letting life happen to you. When you want to happen to life, you get beat up, you get bruised up, you get hurt, you get cut, you hurt others, and you live to make amends for it the next day. It wasn't some of us are thrown into it. Others of us have had the opportunity to be walked into it, or had somebody explain it to us, had us warming up it from a distance, secondhand, because we never had to go through shit. But you'll have your turn. And your turn, what you choose to do with that turn determines what happens in your life. It's almost like reading one of those books that based off your answer tells where the story goes. It's true. And if you think you escaped the opportunity to woman up in that way, ooh, you got by. No, you didn't. It's coming right back at you again. And because you lack discernment, you won't even realize it. Let's just hope that you make the right decision this go round, because you're going to do this shit over and over again until you do, keeping you stagnant in where you are. And to die and have not achieved absolutely anything, you know, it dawned on me real heavy when I watched that episode of Girlfriends, when the one who was the realtor, she went to see the therapist, and she didn't know what people would say about her when she died. They wouldn't have really much or nothing to say to her, and that was a big deal for her. And simultaneously, it was a big deal for me too. Like you don't want to live the rest of your life shallow with nothing, with a bunch of people there to pay their respects out of respect, but not because they truly loved you. You don't want to end your life that way, and you don't have to. You want to make your mark on this world, even if it's through nothing else but the children you raised and reared. Because sometimes you have to give your life for others. It's not always about you. That's part of womaning up too. Womaning up don't mean putting on red bottoms, going into the corporate office all the time. Sometimes it means giving your life for somebody else. But you won't realize what you're called to do because you're in this world asshole backwards. So you laughing, but I say that all the time too. That's in my short list because it's so many opportunities to say it. How many people do we run across that don't know shit? They don't know nothing. You just look at it's like as soon as I became awake, I realized just how asleep everybody else around me was.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to tell my brother the other day, "You 33 years old. Find something else to talk about. Seriously, let's talk about something else. You're too old for this. Let me introduce you to some channels that you could follow, or something you could start paying attention to that's outside of sports and clothing and other people's business." I did, because it's true. You know, these are like, I mean, it looks different as a woman, but it's the same even when you're talking to a man. And that's the
It's true.
problem. And all too often, we're too afraid to call somebody on their shit. I wouldn't be a good person for him to have in his life if I can't sit there and say to him, find something else to talk about. I don't want to hear about, like we need to be talking about more than just this. I'm a wealth of information and I'm letting you flounder. It's not going to happen on my watch. At least I'm going to have said something to you about it, or introduced you to some ways to get you some knowledge that's more befitting to who you are as a person and what you're doing in this world. But find something else to do, you
Mm-hmm.
know? It really pained me that my daughter, I had her at 15, and she just did not want to take my information. She just wouldn't. I remember my cousins, my mama, my family talked to her like, what are you doing? Your mother, if you want to talk about having kids young, I did it. If you want to talk about having kids married, I've done it. If you want to talk about dropping out of school, I did that. If you want to talk about going back to school and graduating, I did that. If you want to go to college, I've did it. If you want to talk about what are you going to do in face of a crisis, well, I had a gun to my head. I can about tell you how to handle that. If you want to talk about moving away, I've did that. Traveling the world, I've done that. Why wouldn't you use me as a wealth or a resource? Why? Because it's ego. Is you don't know what you're talking about. Is I know better than you, or whatever the case may be. I know our situation is a little different because it's my daughter and we're only, almost 16 years apart, where maybe with some other girl, but it just pains me because she's going to have to learn the hard way. And the truth of the matter is she ain't built for that. She's just not. I can see it in her eyes. She's not built for that. And I know it, she know it, and then she feels like she don't have to be built for that, but that's still not the truth. This world is ugly.
Mm-hmm.
This world is ugly. And I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm sorry, y'all. I've been talking all night. And I got off
Girl,
topic. I hate rambling.
girl, please. But I think that's at the end of the day, part of the issue is it's like well, why don't women up? Well, realistically, a lot of them don't really know that they're not. And again, this is where we have so many of these cycles perpetuated in our community. Time you get to the generation now, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know. They don't know their ass from their face. Like they really don't. And that's part of the issue here that we have. And you know what? Everything is perpetuating them not knowing. Their moms didn't teach them to clean themselves properly. You know what I mean? The little boys who keep banging them, don't tell them there's anything wrong with it. Because if there was something wrong with it, she couldn't get fucked by 25 guys this week, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like nothing is actively teaching them what is wrong, what they are doing wrong, or that somehow or another the way that they're interacting in life is wrong. Now, you could say, well, you got 3 kids before you're 18, don't know who the father of 2 of them are, welfare is your main goal in life, et cetera, et cetera. You could look at that and say, well, you're obviously doing something wrong. But when they see the people in their communities working 40 hours a week, or as many hours a week as humanly possible, with their fingers and knurled over and their backs are always hurting and whatever, but they still got to be on welfare because at the end of the day that's not even meeting basic cost of living, and they're not able to get any type of benefits for themselves or for their children, so they are working triple time and basically getting nothing out of it, certainly getting a lot less than they are on their welfare with their child, benefits and this and that and whatever. It, society, what they are looking at when they are approaching the world and they hit their little puberty and they think they're all grown, what they're looking at around them isn't telling them that what they are doing is shameful and what they are doing is cowardly and what they are doing is whatever. Because honestly, in order for you to be a coward about something, I think you really have to think that the other side, first of all, not only exists, but that it's something that's even feasible for you. And when I say feasible, I don't just mean that you can obtain it, but that obtaining it is worthwhile. Because from what they're seeing, their experiences, well, you know what, if you're black and you live in this neighborhood and you work, that doesn't seem like a reasonable option. That doesn't seem like something I should be wanting to get. Oh, I had this one cousin and she got a master's and she working at McDonald's next to me, and only she got $70,000 in debt. You're hearing these stories in our community, and systemic racism, et cetera, et cetera. And I think a lot of them are just so caught up in the cycle to begin with that they don't see a way other than what they're doing, and nothing is reinforcing to them that there is another way. So I think ultimately they're not womaning up because to them there's no such thing. They think that what they do by getting that kid early and by making sure that their kid is in all the nicest clothes and name brands, and they're wearing the red bottoms, and they're doing this and they're doing that. They think that they are womaning up. That's how lost, especially these last couple generations, that's how lost they are. That they think that that's what they're doing. They're achieving. They're attaining. They're getting one over on everyone. They're making it.
Well, I'm gonna say this because we're about to wrap up to the show. We coming round to the end of it, and as always, you ladies always, you always lay it out there. I've always wanted to have this show ever since the inception of the Unicorn 4, but I figured I'd wait a while before I kind of slid it in there on the folks. You ladies always give comprehensive answers to this stuff, and I'm sure that every single one of you have womaned up and continue to woman up every day that goes by. What I would say, and I know some ladies, I know y'all may get mad at me, but I don't care if you get mad at me because I got a woman already, so I don't have to worry about you. What I would say to you ladies, as far as woman up goes, as the Unicorn spoke of so elegantly earlier, I believe the first thing is to know who the hell you are and have some self-respect for whoever that person may be. Once you figure out who that person is, once you figure out who that person is, have a great deal of self-respect for that person, because when you have self-respect, you will also have respect for others, and with respect for others comes honor and integrity, and morals come with that. Okay. And I know, contrary to what you've been told, okay, contrary to what you ladies have been told, especially you young ladies, because a lot of you old broads, y'all are just gone, because like Lady Ming said, young hoes just turn into old hoes. But a lot of you young ladies that haven't quite got there yet, the first thing you need to remember as a young lady is, if you really want to be respectable and you really want a woman up, all you have to do is remember that the sexiest part of you is usually between your ears, not between your legs. I'll say it again. The sexiest part of you is usually between your ears, not between your legs. And if you take that mind state, you will go a lot farther. Trust me. Trust me. Because you will be one of the very few that actually has a decent head on their shoulders. I mean, women, I believe the main thing, especially when you're talking about the lower tier women, when you're talking about those women, you have to think that these women believe that the most important part of their body is their damn vagina. And their vagina has got them into the trouble that it's gotten them into. Their vagina is the one that has gotten them into the trouble, because they have made themselves not worth more than what's between their legs. And I think that that is a big problem in Black society. And women may get mad at me because of it. I don't really care. I don't really care. But what y'all should care about is how you are perceived by people. Because see, if you think about how you are perceived by people, what that's going to do is that's going to cause you to perceive yourself a certain way. And maybe, just maybe, you might end up not growing old alone with a house full of cats, plants, and hoarded junk that ain't worth a damn. So with that, I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank the Unicorn 4, Lady Ming, Lady Cats, Lady Kendra, and Lady Classic. And I also want to thank everybody in the chat, my moderators, for stopping by and spending some time with us. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. You watching on the playback, you obviously came here for a reason. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the like button while you're at it too. Make sure you stop by Prophet of Thought series on Facebook. I've erased the Prophet of Thought series on Facebook. That other page I've gotten rid of, so you don't have to worry about that conflict. So just go to Prophet of Thought series on Facebook and go to the Prophet of Thought series group fan page and hit us up on the old TPOT bandwagon. And you can also find us on Instagram and WhatsApp. And we have a Twitter as well. It's at TPOT Media on Twitter. That's at TPOT Media on Twitter. And make sure you stop by the website, www.don'teventryi.wikifoundry.com. Next week, I'll go ahead and fill y'all in because I done already decided what the topic is going to be. Next week, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be talking culture, religion, and spirituality in Black society. You heard me. Culture, religion, and spirituality within Black society. That should be a good show because, you know, the Unicorn 4 always lays down a good show, dropping some jewels on y'all. Y'all need to be breaking out your pen and papers when these ladies be talking. See, I don't have to do that because I can just play back the YouTube video. But once again, I want to thank the Unicorn 4 for coming through again. I mean, they always lay down a good show, you know, and this was a tough topic, you know, telling women to woman up. You know, oftentimes, you know, us brothers, we get on here and we give a little version of telling them to woman up, but I just feel like it has a little more impact when ladies like the ladies you see on this panel here. Okay. When you see ladies like this on this panel saying it, you know that us brothers aren't just making it up. Okay. We're not just making it up. It's real. So take it to heart. They mean you nothing but the best by what they're saying to you. You know, they're not saying it to hurt your feelings or to pretend to be better than you. These are some very bright ladies that I have on this panel. That's why they're here. And if you take some heed to the knowledge that they share with you, it's guaranteed to improve your life. Okay, if it doesn't, you can write me and I don't know, send you $5 or something. But anyway, I want to thank T.L.O.T, the ladies of thought, for coming through, and I want to thank y'all for coming through as well. So with that, I will leave you with 3 words like I always do. Open your minds. We out of here, y'all.
The Prophet of Thought series.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Open your mind.
Peace, folks.
Prophet of Thought series. Open your mind. Prophet of Thought series.
Only from T.L.O.T Media. Open